This edition of MacVoices is sponsored by Linode, high-performance cloud hosting for everyone. Visit linode.com/MacVoices and take $20 off your first server package. MacVoices is supported by LinkedIn Jobs. Find the right person for your business today with LinkedIn Jobs. Pay what you want and get $50 off your first job post at linkedin.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. And folks, this is the second in our two-part interview with Jeff Carlson about his newest book, The Photographer's Guide to Luminar 4. In the first edition, we got a little feel for what Luminar 4 is and some of the things it can do and why it's a bit different than a lot of the photo editing and photo retouching apps out there. In the second edition, Jeff digs into a little more of the information about RAW and some of the extra features that Luminar 4 has, gives us some suggestions on the kind of iPhone apps we might want to shoot with if we're thinking about editing with Luminar 4, and also gives us a discount code to get his new book for 40% off. So with that, let's get back to Jeff. But there are a number of things here I want to clarify, because you have mentioned wedding photographers, you've mentioned real estate photography. There was one other one portraits, of course, portrait photography. So Luminar obviously is a tool that can be used by professionals, but and then this is Chuck's observation, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is one of the first pieces of photo retouching software that I can tap a lot of the power and I don't have to be a professional.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's entirely accessible to anybody who, has never done portrait editing before. I mean, to be quite honest, I've done some portrait editing and it's turned out fine, but not to the degree where, I would ask somebody to pay me to do like Photoshop, professional level retouching. And, with Luminar, the results are good enough that, I would do a portrait session and use it to, just sort of take care of, the little things that come up in touching portrait photos, little tiny blemishes or, skin reflections, and, things like that just, like we know that these are just the features on our faces, but we don't want to draw attention to them. Another nice thing about it is, like you can see me, I've got a full beard. Beards can be sort of notorious because you want a smooth skin, but you don't want to turn the beard into, this sort of like big, blur. And it absolutely keeps all the texture of all the hairs. And, so, the fact that this is so easy and, when I mention these tools, like they're all sliders. So, there's a slider that says eye enhance. There's a slider that's just, AI skin smoothing. And you can crank it all the way up and it looks really good, or you can just sort of go like halfway, find the good balance, but you don't have to know what's going on underneath to really be able to control it, because the software is doing all that. And so, if you are, let's say you had a family reunion and you wanted to just, touch it up a little bit, make everybody look 10% better, which is kind of what everybody wants when they're doing portraits or when they're doing groups or, family shots. You can do that without a whole lot of effort, without a whole lot of, knowledge, without having to think, okay, I got to go and figure out how do I retouch a bunch of different skins? How do I, you don't have to go and spend 20 hours trying to become a temporary expert to do this one photo.
That's you just said a mouthful, because that's what we all want. We want to be
Yes.
that temporary expert for about 5 photos a year, but we don't want
Yes.
to invest the time, and of course it doesn't make any sense to. And so you just end up kind of settling for what the best you can do by just playing a little bit for 10 minutes and saying that's good enough and move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Jeff, what do we need to be feeding this? And what I mean by that is you are a real photographer. You have real cameras. A lot of us are just using iPhones. You shoot in RAW with these, megapixel,
Mm-hmm.
lot bigger than a lot of us shoot. What kind of results can we expect to get out of our iPhone photography, or, something that's a whole lot less expensive and less prevalent than what you use?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have edited iPhone shots. I've edited, old, images from my like my old Nikon that I used to have, Nikon D90. It's very agnostic when it comes to the like what type of image that you have. It's great for doing raw stuff. I found really great results editing iPhone shots. The only real difference there is typically resolution. So you're not going to get as much ability to, say, crop into a smaller area on an iPhone shot. But if you're shooting with something in the last 2 or 3 years, the resolution is perfectly fine. And like Luminar, it's not. What am I trying to say? It's not like it's looking at everything in terms of tone and structure, and it can see, even if it's an iPhone shot, areas that need to be fixed without. I don't know how best to say this, other than it's just like it doesn't really seem to care, and I have not noticed any real differences depending on the camera. So if you're editing raw files, there are a few more features that it can take advantage of. It can sort of like look up the different profiles and things like that. But what's also kind of nice is that in almost everything, there's like a 2-step dance with raw files. So when you open a raw file in Photoshop, it first has to develop it. And so you make some edits, and then it's sort of, frozen into that state, and then you do some more editing. Luminar, like it just knows that it's a raw file, and you can sort of, bend the pixels however you want. It doesn't have to like do that little step. So I don't know. Did I answer your question? Like I don't think that it's if someone is only shooting iPhone shots, I don't think that you'd be like, oh, well, Luminar is just for professionals, because like they're very much building it so that it will work on anything.
Right. Well, and a lot of us have been more than satisfied with what we are getting out of our iPhones. So that to me says that Luminar is just going to make us that much more satisfied. But you mentioned RAW there a couple of times, and I did want to ask you about RAW. Mm-hmm. I know there's some apps on the iPhone that can shoot, and now, Jeff, I'm way out of my league here. But they shoot a version of RAW, as I understand it, on the iPhone. I've honestly forgotten what that phrase is that they use to describe that. Is there an advantage to shooting that? And so that begs the next question. Is there an app that if I decide I'm going to go out and I'm going to take, it's a beautiful day and I'm going to go and shoot some shots and I'm going to come back and create, these beautiful photos from these shots. Is there an app that I should be using that will give me a better result once I pull it into Luminar by taking it in those enhanced formats?
Yeah, possibly. So what I think you're talking about is some apps will shoot in RAW, which is basically like the iPhone's RAW, which is a DNG. So it's Adobe's digital negative format, and basically because most cameras that shoot in RAW, like every camera model has its own flavor of RAW, and every camera manufacturer has its own like type of RAW, and it gets really confusing. And that's why, a new camera comes out, and if you buy that camera right away, you may not be able to fully edit the raw images until the software companies catch up to build that. And so Apple's response was, we're just going to use DNG. It's something that's been used for a long time, but Apple decided not to implement that for the built-in camera app, because Apple's sort of doing its own thing. Because when you're shooting with a camera app, it's doing all of the pre-processing, and it's like even when you just take one picture, it's actually capturing multiple images and blending them together, and that's how you get some of the smart HDR type of features. So that's where Apple's gone. But Apple has said, look, we're not going to stop anybody from using RAW. And so applications like Manual, I think it's called Manual, Halide, I think is another one. Actually, the Lightroom app also has like a built-in camera, and all of those can shoot RAW. And what that just means is that they're capturing more data and letting you work with the data that was captured. So it's not doing any extra processing the way Apple's camera app is doing. It's just saying, okay, these were the pixels, these were the values, and then you can sort of run with that. So when you bring that into something like Luminar says, okay, this is a DNG, this is basically a raw format, and it pulls out that data and applies, its own method of developing it, basically making it something that you can work with, and then you can adjust those things. So if you are shooting with those, you don't get Apple's magic, basically Apple's processing, but you have sort of like more of the raw materials to work with, and Luminar can absolutely take those and run with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we're almost having a discussion here about computational photography within the app versus outside of the app. And in the phone, outside of the phone. In the phone, you're sort of restricted to what Apple gives you, but what Apple gives you is pretty darn good. But if you do want some of this finer grain control, you can take it into something like Luminar, and for purposes of this discussion, Luminar, and apply some of this magic yourself selectively.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a really good way of putting it.
Okay, good. Well, then maybe I understand.
You understand. You don't understand that you understand.
I didn't understand that I understood. Yeah. Today's MacVoices is supported by Linode. You can build it on Linode. What can you build on Linode? Pretty much anything you want from a server perspective. With fast native SSD storage, industry-leading processors, a 40 gigabit network, your server is going to be really fast. So your resulting web presence is going to be really fast. With Linode's quick install options, you can get all kinds of servers up and running with just a click or two. WordPress, Minecraft, OpenVPN, Arc, WireGuard, Drupal, and more are all at your command. So creating is easy. Even if you have dozens of Linodes installed, their easy-to-use dashboard makes managing easy. So management is easy. Linode has data centers all over the world. From Newark to London, Singapore to Toronto, Linode has you covered. So managing geography-related matters is easy. In those rare instances that a problem does arise, Linode has 24/7 live customer support. So support is easy. You can configure backups when you need them, with 3 times data replication, so keeping the data on your servers safe is easy. Increasing storage and decreasing storage can be done with a click, so adjusting to your growing or shrinking needs is easy. In other words, using Linode for virtual cloud servers is easy. That's why you need to visit linode.com/MacVoices right now to find out what it can do for you. That's linode.com, linode.com/MacVoices. If you've been waiting to check out a virtual server, now is your big chance. Thanks to Linode for their support of MacVoices. I'm very pleased to tell you that LinkedIn Jobs is sponsoring this edition of MacVoices. I use LinkedIn for professional reasons, and pretty much every business person I know uses LinkedIn. In fact, anyone who wants to connect with anyone for business uses LinkedIn. That's why when you need to hire your next great employee, you need to look at LinkedIn Jobs first. LinkedIn Jobs is the #1 hiring platform for delivering quality hires. Set a daily budget to control your spend or a total budget, and only pay for job post views from prospective applicants, not a fixed fee or an upfront fee. Let LinkedIn screen for not only the technical skills you're looking for, but also for those soft skills that can make your hire the best it can be. Find out why every 8 seconds someone is hired from LinkedIn Jobs. Find the right person for your business today with LinkedIn Jobs. You can pay what you want and get the first $50 off. Just visit linkedin.com/MacVoices. Again, that's linkedin.com/MacVoices to get $50 off your first job post. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks to LinkedIn Jobs for supporting MacVoices. I can't stress enough. I mean, how much fun I've had playing with Luminar. You've alerted me to a couple things though that I need to go in and learn and play a little more with because I didn't know they were there. You also said something interesting just as you in complete passing, that with each iteration of Luminar, it seems like they give you maybe just a little more. It's not just bug fixes and it looks good. I mean, they will actually add features in there that you can play with.
Yeah. Which, coming from the standpoint of writing a book is a little frustrating. Like this last AI augmented sky, cool feature. They basically I got a heads up about it. I want to say the week before the book went to the printer, and so there was a bit of scrambling to make sure that we got that in. But Luminar, I think it's safe to say they've been very aggressive for the whole development of Luminar, in just saying we're going to try to do a lot, and that has resulted in a lot of the AI stuff because that's where they put a lot of resources in. But they do not seem to be the type of company that's like, okay, we're going to release our big release, in November, and then you're not going to hear from us for a year. They're continuing to do stuff, and there are even things that are coming that I wasn't able to get in the book, just because of timing. So I want to say, the beginning of last year, I think, they had promised this library feature, so you could actually organize your photo library in the app, and it was going to be a full digital asset manager, and sort of like what Photos can do, what Lightroom can do, and anybody who bought it would get the feature when it came. Well, at some point they realized that wasn't as important as working on some of the AI stuff. I don't know what that internal calculation was. And so there is a libraries feature, which I actually like because I like being able to have a photo library and just, say, I'm going to edit this and I'm going to edit this and I'm going to edit this, and not have to worry about, okay, where are my files on my hard drive? What am I going to do with the saved version? It streamlines it quite a bit. But there are features in there that I wish were there to sort of beef it up. Like there's no keyword tagging, there's no search. Basically, you can filter by ratings and things, and that's something that is coming at some point this year, but we don't know when. So there's stuff that they're working on, but as with all software development, things get prioritized, things get shuffled around. In this case, the funny thing about the development of this book, which seems like it's taken forever, is that I was basically ready to deliver a book by, I want to say September or October, and that was the track that we were on. And then I found out that they were working on this Luminar 4. And I should give credit to Skylum, Rocky Nook and Skylum. We've been working together, and getting heads up on releases and things like that. So, yay, partnerships. But, then they're like, hey, we want to let you know that we're working on this version 4, and it's going to be quite a bit different. So basically, we had to restructure everything, because if I had kept to that schedule, I would have released a book on version 3 almost exactly when version 4 came out, and they're quite a bit different. So, we're talking about this in April. The ebook's about to come out. The print book is coming later. It's much longer than I thought it would take for us to work on this. But, it's one of those things, like, things had to be shuffled around and rewritten, and it's a better book for it. And I'm glad we didn't release the version 3. It's just a little bit later than me and Rocky Nook and Skylum, and I've had several people email me like, "Hey, when's that date coming? When's the book coming? I'm really looking for it." I'm like, "Yes, I know, it's coming. We're working very hard." But it's software development, and it's just, that's how it works.
But we could do a whole show just on, I think, people's expectations.
Oh yeah,
everybody's impatient, and few of us truly appreciate what it takes to put a project together. That project being a book or a piece of software as sophisticated as this, or videos or whatever. They just think, oh, this stuff pops up out of the ether, and it's like, no, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
It takes a little while to put this stuff together.
Yeah,
and there are people that pop stuff up out of the ether, and it looks like it too. So
yeah. So I mean, it's, this is going to sound probably too much hubris, but like even though this book has taken a long time to do, it has been one of my favorite projects that I've worked on. Partially because I like the topic, but like. And hopefully people will realize this when they read the book. But like I had genuine fun writing the book. There are parts of it where I'm, what's a good word? Snarky is not really the right word, but it's, like light, and I don't know. There are parts when I maybe take some digs at a big company that makes other photo software. Like it was just Abode, yes, Adobe.
Yeah.
It was fun to write, and I just love how it turned out, and I hope people get that when they read the book. And like I think the photos turned out really well. It was just like kind of a joy to work on. And although like I love what I do, and I have been able to do this for quite a long time, there was just something about this project that, even though there were times when I was like, oh, like we're not going to hit this date, or, oh, there's a new thing that's a new wrinkle that's come out, or something, whatever. Like I still enjoyed sitting down and doing it. And, that doesn't happen with every project. So I hope that comes through.
I think it will, just judging by the way you're talking about it, because there's a lot of enthusiasm behind this. And you and I have done a number of interviews for all kind of different projects, and there seems to be a different flavor to your passion for this one. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it and playing with it. Hey, I wanted to take us back to the raw for just one quick question.
Yeah. Sorry.
Just to be real clear, because I heard it and then I forgot about it. If I bring in one of those raw files into Luminar, you said, this is where I want to be clear, that Luminar is doing some things behind the scenes because it's a raw file. You don't get any extra controls or anything like that.
Well, so the structure of raw files is basically, if you have like a DNG file, right? So that actually is not even a photo. It's just pure data. It's just the data that was recorded by the sensor, the camera sensor, and written into memory. That's all it is. And so whenever any application opens a raw file, it has to decode that data and turn, literally turn the ones and zeros into colors and tones. And so, every program, Photos will do this, Lightroom, like basically every program has to at least like show you a version of what that data is. And then that's what you see, and then that's what you can start editing based off of. And so, in Photoshop, it does that develop step, and then it sort of hands like, okay, here's your developed picture, and now you can go in and start manipulating the pixels. Lightroom kind of smushes that together and says, okay, we're going to give you a developed version, but without having that step. Like, we can just use that data and translate it into something that you can see, and then start working with it. And Luminar is the same way. So once you open it, that file, it's still a raw file, but it has to be translated into something that you can see. And the advantage of raw files is that there's actually more data there than if you had, say, a JPEG, because a JPEG, the camera basically does all of that step in the camera. So it takes the raw file, and then it makes the JPEG image, and then it compresses the image and throws away some data. Usually not that you can tell, but it's like trying to make a good, perfect shot for you, and then it saves it as the JPEG and throws everything else away.
Right. But okay, let me do it this way. But okay. I guess where I was going with the question is, if I'm going to make this up, okay? Just bear with me. But let's say that I have a brightness slider, okay, and I feed it a regular iPhone photo, and I get one brightness slider. If I feed it a raw photo, I don't get like 3 brightness sliders or anything. Everything is happening within the program, and it's transparent to the user. Is that a correct statement?
Yes. So in Luminar, there are 3 or 4, off the top of my head, controls that are specific to raw files that are additional. So like a couple things that you can do, and of course I can't think of any of them right now. You can set, I believe, different profiles. Brain. So like there are a couple of things that that raw files enable. Actually, in Luminar 4, it's better about this because it's removed some of that complexity, so that you're basically using all the same tools that you had before. That are on every photo, and then in just like 2 or 3 spots, you'll just notice like an extra raw specific tool. So it's not anything that you would even notice unless you were looking for it, to be quite honest. But another thing about raw files that I should have mentioned, in addition to having a lot more data, there are characteristics of raw files that that software can take advantage of. So, for example, sharpening and noise reduction, those can be better processed if you start with a raw file, and that's just inherent in the way the data is saved. So, if you had like a raw file and a JPEG, you would get better sharpening results from the raw file than the JPEG, just because of the data that's in that file.
Got it. Thank you for the clarification.
You bet.
I wanted to be sure. And these are the reasons that you need to go buy the book, because there are all these little details and pieces of information that will make your photos better. So
yes, absolutely.
So as this is being released, the book should be out any second now.
Yes.
And I assume at the usual suspects, Amazon and all those places, or is there something on your website?
Well, right now so this week the ebook is being released. The book is still being printed. It's being printed somewhere overseas. I don't know if the coronavirus situation is going to affect shipping and printing. Like, I don't think so, but basically the timeline that I know now is that the ebook is available now or about to be. And the print version, I think, will arrive in June. And that's just, that's just publishing, like you have to make it and ship it and distribute it and all of that. What I don't know as we're talking, if you'd be able to get the ebook from Amazon, I believe so. But what I do know for sure is you can go to Rocky Nook, rockynook.com and order it there. You can either order the ebook by itself, or you can order a bundle where you get the ebook now, and then the print version will come, will be shipped to you when it's ready. So
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also believe that you have a webinar for the folks that are seeing this on a timely basis. You're doing a webinar shortly?
Yes. Right now it's scheduled for the 9th, so April 9th, but I don't have a time yet. But if you go to jeffcarlson.com, or I'll be sending out email and post something about it, or Jeff Carlson on Twitter, Jeff Carlson at Instagram, all the different places. I'll be doing a webinar. Right now it's scheduled for Thursday the 9th.
Great.
Yeah.
And if I get those notices, I'll try to add that to the show notes as well.
Oh, thank you.
So
Yes.
You can find this, because I think, as much as I enjoy talking about it, I think it's going to be really interesting to watch Jeff, who knows a lot about this program, manipulate it and use it, so we can all learn how to manipulate and use it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And you just told us everywhere we can find you, Jeff. So that's perfect. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Oh, one more thing.
Oh, yes.
Just for people watching this, if you go to Rocky Nook and you order there and you use the code Carlson40, let me just make sure that that's correct. CARLSON 40. You get 40% off the price. So,
wow.
We're not going to share that in the show notes, because it's going to reward the people who are listening.
Yes. So if you're watching and listening, then you go to rockynook.com.
Rockynook.com, and it's the Photographer's Guide to Luminar 4. Do a search for it,
Okay.
and you can order the ebook, the print book, or the bundle, and get 40% off if you use that code.
Great. Jeff, thank you. And thank you for that. That's very
Absolutely.
nice. Really appreciate it.
Thank you,
I appreciate the time. So now I want you to end this call and go and get on your next project, so you can come back and talk about it, because I know what it is, and I really want to talk about that one too.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I have to do for the rest of the day. So yes, I'm on it.
Great. Well, it's good to see you.
Thank you so much.
Please stay safe.
You too. We all will. Everybody stay inside, wash your hands, all the good stuff. And, hey, what a great time to learn about photography and read a few books about them.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Or watch MacVoices. There you go.
Watch MacVoices. Get caught up. Absolutely. Yeah. Go back and find all the previous appearances when you and I have been together. See how we've aged over the years.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we haven't.
Hey, I'm proud of these wrinkles. I've earned every single one, let me tell you.
That's right. So. Exactly.
Thanks, Jeff. Good to see you.
Thank you so much, Chuck.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. We're having way too much fun. I hope you're having fun with us right along. Again, rockynook.com, and the code Carlson40 will get you 40% off of Jeff's latest book. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this one. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. you will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.